Hot mic, hot mic. We are on the air. This is the Superfan Max Power Hour in less than 60 minutes, presented by the blog. That's a day late, dollar short. This is Superfan Max, aka Jose Max, reporting you live with a part two of the Glory Days and Opening Day special of the podcast. Yesterday I got interrupted. One of my family members came home, as you probably kind of heard slightly in the background. Didn't think I was going to do part two, but thinking about the Glory Days, they all come up and where you get long-winded, one thing leads to another. So I'm going to continue those stories in a minute. I just realized I didn't have a baseball hat on, so I'm going to go put my classic White Sox hat on, the one they wear every day, with the, I don't know, what would you call it, the Old English lettering, the classic black with white lettering, whatever. Got that on right now. And I think we are ready to continue those stories. Where was I at yesterday? I was talking about our bunting drill. So the bunting drill was how we ended practice when we were allowed to bunt. So you would get 3 balls. You got a chance to try and bunt. You had to lay 1 bunt down. You got 3 balls, though. Just had to get the ball down. It had to be a good bunt on the left, left third base line or the first base line. Like I was saying, 3 bunts. I had a call there, so I had to answer the phone really fast. You got 3 balls to lay a bunt on the left or right side baseline, third base or first base. Make sure it was a good bunt. And if you didn't get the bunt, you just took a good swing and hustled down the first. That was the point of the drill. You bunt, you hustle down the first. So we could do the next part of the drill, which would be the chase drill, which was simply after everybody finished bunting, was on first base, all line up. He would send one kid, the one that get about to second, on their way to second base where the second baseman would play. He would send somebody else, and you would have to chase them, obviously, and just hustle, bust your ass to get to home plate. Hopefully you didn't get caught. Because I think if you got caught, you just had to redo the rerun again or something. I can't remember. So that was that drill. So I was mentioning my sister. I had to be anywhere from 8 to 10 when I was with Coach Pasiak. So my sister, she's a couple years younger than me, 2 years younger than me, so she had to be 6 to 8. So we're just going to go with 6 because it's funnier. So she's a little 6-year-old girl. My dad's not fully coaching, but helping coaching, and he tells her, hey, throw me a ball. She throws it softly, and Coach Pasiak, he's walking by, hits him right in the jaw, breaks his jaw. And we're like, what do you mean? Because he's like, oh my gosh, my jaw's broken. And we're all like, the whole team was like in shock. We were like, what's going on? He was a goofy guy, so we kind of thought he was joking. He's like, no, I seriously think my jaw's broken. I broke it many years back. I think it just popped it back out. It's easier to break it. So my sister, she's 6, so she feels so bad that she just hurt an adult throwing a ball by accident. The other adults were kind of freaking out. They were like, oh man. One adult actually said, what's the number for 911? Wasn't joking. I think they were completely serious. They didn't know the number for 911. So I remember he went to the hospital. Like he said, he broke it before, so they just pop it in really fast. And my sister, she wrote him a little card saying sorry, and that's how my sister broke my coach's jaw. And that's probably one of my last memories of the Coach Pasiak. Well, it was one of the memories of the Coach Pasiak era that I had. Not the last one. It was probably mid-season. But then, I can't remember. I got a little all over the place yesterday in the story. I had to be an all-star either that year or when I was on the Cardinals or the Cubs. Cubs was the minor league. Yeah, it was the minors of level of play. I think you're 10 to 12-ish, maybe. Yeah, I want to say 10 to 12-ish or 10 to 13-ish. I think it's 10 to 13 actually. No, because I was on the majors where I was. So, yeah, 10 to 12. I'm 10 to 12 years old, 2010, whatever. So I was on the Cubs. was an all-star that year. One of the memorable things about being an all-star, my first time I was a two-time all-star, was I was playing the outfield and it rained the night before or whatever. Big pile of water in left field. I was playing left field, and I know one play, a ball was just coming towards me. I take off right through the pile of water to try and catch it. I'm gonna say I caught the ball. Why not? It's a glory day story. I caught that ball, of course. Uniform was dirty. Threw the ball in. I'm gonna say I threw him home, threw him out. Beautiful play. Because I think I was a little hesitant with the water because we were warming up and the ball came in. I was like, I don't want to go into that water. It splashes right in there, and I'm trying to get it out. That thing's. I'm gonna say my dad. He's like, you got to get that ball if it's coming towards you. So, come game time, I come in there. I'm running through the water. My feet are soaked after, and I don't know how, but it's like one of those days where it's like 90 million degrees, and somehow you get your feet wet, and they just don't dry in those big, thick socks. So yeah, I was a Cub there. We unfortunately were able to break the curse. We went to the championship game, and we just lost in. I want to say it was a 3-game series. I think at that level they were starting to do the tinkering of playoff series, or they might have done it when I was the first time around, but it was probably only a 3-game series, nothing major. We did that later on. Then, I was only on the Cubs for 1 year. My last year at the minors. That was the minor level was also. Don't think you could steal yet, but I know it was all kid pitch. And yeah, that was a pretty good year for me. I played third base, like usual. And I guess we are going on to when I got moved up to the majors. I feel like I'm missing something in this story, but I'm not entirely. Yeah, so I went across the park. I'm a major. I played for the Brewers. Terrible season we had. We only won 1 game. And that was the garbage man coach. He was a little garbage man. And I'm only like 11 years old. But this grown adult, he's like, you guys don't want to go to school. You guys got to go to the union jobs. Become a garbage man, make that money. And, we're only 11 years old or something like that. And it's just like the most bizarre thing we're being told ever. Because we're so young and just nobody's ever thinking about that. And that was a funny year. We only won the 1 game, and that was the game he wasn't there because his oldest son was graduating from 8th grade. So they had like the awards dinner. So it was like all the other parents and stuff, trying to pitch in and just coach the team for that day, like make the lineup and whatever. And somehow, some way, we just managed to win that game without him. This is kind of funny. I don't know what special thing we did. Maybe it was a fluke. The luck was on our side. But it's just hilarious to me that thinking back about it, or always thinking about it, the only game we win is the game where the coach isn't there, the main coach. And, that was a weird year. He wasn't a very good coach, so I felt like I was on the good path of becoming a good player. And, coaching is very important at any level of the sport, even if it's just a recreational league or any type of play. So that's why I've always taken coaching or loved coaching. I got to get my coaching certificate or physical education certificate. I got to keep studying for the state so I can finally at least start coaching in some aspect. I loved coaching. I always wanted to do coaching one way or another in life. So yeah, I got to push myself to finally take the test so I could start giving back to the youth of athletics and start coaching or just moving on in life in general. So after the Brewers, I went on to play for the Mets, and I think that was a pretty good season. I think we had a second round exit, so right before the championship, we got eliminated, unfortunately. But that year was a really great year for me. It was a great coach. I think his name was Coach Kyle. I know his son was named Kyle. I can't, for the life of me, remember his name. But he really, 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 really helped with my fundamentals and was redid my game. He was very big on, I know he did karate or something, So he was also big on like training aspect of athletics. Like he was always making us run more than we should. Like I know, than past coaches. Uh, he would always have us start at home plate. It was a big park, McGuane Park. So he'd be like, all right, we're going to start at our home plate. I want you to run to the other home plate, tag it, come back, and run to the other field's home plate. So you're running a whole city block, probably even bigger, back and forth for conditioning. I know he was big on duck walks. We were always doing duck walks when we practiced inside. What was another thing he did? He always had us run baseball suicide. So, start at home plate, run to first base, run back to home plate, run to first, second base, tag second, first back plate, all the way to third, fourth, or fourth home plate. Then so you're running back and forth for like a good 10-minute run. So he's really big on that aspect of the game. And then he really helped with my fundamentals because, like I was saying, I had that Brewers coach, and I don't know why, but he was like, I'm a Cubs fan, so we don't do that one-hand swing stuff like the Sox do. We keep both hands on the bat, the old school swing or something. And, of course, how was my swing? It was a one-handed swing that I was really good with for the most part. I didn't have the greatest. I would say I had a good eye. I do have a good eye when it came to swinging the bat, but I was always swinging far in between because I didn't want to strike out. So I always took walks and stuff because it was a lot easier to get on base without swinging the bat. I guess that was my mindset. I just didn't have that confidence of swinging the bat as much when it was both a kid pitch level, I would say, because I was always crushing balls in practice, but it was just something where I was like in the game scenario, it was more serious. Obviously, you want to win the game, so it was pretty much just a lack of confidence, I would say. But when I was with Coach Kyle on the Mets, he really helped me master my swing again because I was just all over the place with the swing. I was trying to do the two-hand swing, trying to do the one-hand swing. Had power, but not a lot of power. I was just all over the place with hitting. And like I said, wasn't swinging as much because I didn't want to take my eye. I didn't want to strike out. So that coach really helped me at that level mid-season too. We're going to redo your whole swing. They made me use a shorter bat, not choke up on the bat, so I could have a quick, shorter swing. So I know I had a longer bat, a Rampage, I think it was like a 32-inch bat or something, or 30 at least. They were like, no, we're going to use a 26 to a 28. They gave me this little blue bat one of the other players was using, so they always made me use that in the second half of the season till I started, getting that swing together. I was able to go back to that Rampage, that 30-inch bat, and I was crushing the ball too. But I was never very good with mastering the step into the swing, so he just told me to forget about everything. And he's like, I'm going to have you do this weird loaded spring type swing, I guess, or weird stance where like I would put my left leg almost straight out and lean all the way back on the right. And I was like kind of bent, like in a little squatting position. And as I would move forward, it would mimic that stepping motion because I couldn't figure out how to step and swing or swing and step. It was just, I couldn't master it. I don't know why. I still can't even do it when I'm messing around with the bat. I always stick around to my old reliable spring-loaded swing for some reason, and that always worked for me. I don't know why, or it just did. It just made sense. And I had that combination of good eye, that good power with the good swing, and I was just stepping in, spring-loading into balls, mimicking that stepping into the ball. In the middle of the season, I was just crushing the ball after that. After whatever, I'm just gonna say All-Star break, even though it probably wasn't an All-Star break, and it was just changed my game for the better for the next little bit of baseball that I was still playing. I really loved that swing and how that coach helped me. He was a very good coach. I don't remember his name. I want to say it was Coach Kyle. Coach Kyle, I don't think you're listening, but if you are, thank you so much for helping my baseball career when I was on the Mets. He really took the game serious. He loved coaching the game. and he was very competitive, and he wanted to win. I wanted to win, so that was a good mindset to have and a good coach. I remember we were going into the playoffs. It had to be around like the last 2 to 3 weeks. We probably clinched the spot, or we're about to clinch a spot going into the playoffs or into the postseason, whatever you want to call it. And one of the, we had two coaches, like most coaches, teams, whatever, and we were doing not warm ups, fielding drills or whatever. And Coach Kyle, he was pitching, he was doing the pitching, and he called one other kid over. I'm doing my fielding drills, and this other kid, he comes over. He's like, "Hey, Coach wants to go see you." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." I've never pitched before, so I walk over there. I'm like, "Hey, Coach, what's going on?" He's like, "What are you doing over here?" I was like, "Oh, they sent me over here." He's like, "All right, want to learn how to pitch?" And I was like, I guess I've never pitched before." And he goes, "Well, we're going to the playoffs. I just want to make sure we have as many pitchers as we do, just in case. And and that's it." He's like, "All right, I'm going to have you start pitching. Let's see what you got." And I was awful. I was awful at pitching. I never pitched up, so I had no idea how to do a windup. I couldn't do that spin on the foot thing either. I guess when it comes to baseball, I'm not good at moving parts or doing multiple things at once. So I wasn't able to, when you're looking straight at the catcher, then you turn on that right foot, put your foot on that mound, or is your foot supposed to be on the mound already? I don't know. I never pitched. Putting that, swinging so you're on the mound, and doing the step back, step forward, twisting that whole body to pitch. I was never good at that, so he's like, "I'm going to have you stand on the mound, so you don't got to do the spinning. You just step back, put your leg up, step forward, bring your arm over, and throw the ball as hard as you can." And I had 2-3 strikes, and because it's glory day, I'm being generous. I'd be lucky if it was even 2 to 3. It was probably realistically 1, if that. He had the tire on the bucket, and I was just throwing them far over, left, right, at the bucket, at the tire, everywhere in between but the middle. And after maybe 50 balls, he goes, "Max, I think you'll agree with me, but we'll only use you as a pitcher if we really need you." And I was like, "Yeah, I hope I don't have to pitch, because that means we're in a bad situation." He was like, "Hey, at least you're really not that good of a pitcher, but if you really want to start practicing pitching more, we could help you get that practice more, because you got the power or just enough to get the ball over there. You just have no placement." And to be honest, I never wanted to be a pitcher. I just never appealed to me, so I was fine by that whatsoever. Let me get a drink of Powerade right now. I got the Power Zero orange Powerade. Almost said the other brand. I'm not going to say that. Powerade got 50 more electrolytes versus the leading sports drink. Powerade zero sugar sports drink. Let's get that live drink on air. I'm drinking the orange one. Powerade Zero Orange. And let's see. We had the classic blue uniform. It's a nice blue hat. Up until the playoffs, I think he probably bought them out of his own money, which is very nice. He gave us all playoff hats. It was a black New York Mets hat, blue brim, black hat, and I think it was black New York, the New York Met logo, the NY, with orange piping or something. It was a pretty cool hat. It was very cool when he gave it to us right in the playoffs, the first game of the series. So that jazzes up the boys. Got the new equipment right at the last second. It's just it gets everybody fired up. And speaking of that playoff, we made a second. We made it to at least the second round. We didn't make it to the championships, unfortunately, that year. But I think that was probably the first time. I know I've only yelled at a ref or an umpire maybe once. I don't think twice. I can't think of another time. I've probably been pissed at an ump or a ref, and I probably never said anything. But at least, I was angry enough to think about something. But I know there's been only one time that I could think of in my mind that I got pissed off at an ump. And this ball was just in the other batter box, an unplayable ball. And he calls a strike 3 on a 2-2. I think it might have been a 2-3 count. Two strikes, 3 balls. Like it was a 3-2 count, full count. I don't know why I thought about it the other way. So I think it was a full count. And that ball is just out of play. Not a hittable ball for me whatsoever. This ball was just not hittable. And this ump just goes strike 3. And I'm like ready to like start taking my base. It was a walk. Everybody knew it was a walk. And I just look at the up. I was like, come on. And I point at where the pitch was with the bat. And everybody's at the dugout yelling at the ump. And the coach just tells everybody, hey, stop. And goes, don't do that. I got this. Him and the assistant coach just start yelling and letting into this ump that made this terrible call. And it's a playoff game and a close game, and you can't be pulling that shit. So I understand it. It was so great. I was just like, a coach got my back. I wasn't even that. I was pissed at the ump, obviously, because it's a close game. You're calling a ball in a strike in a dire situation when it's clearly a ball, and just pointing, doing that crap. I'm a good sportsman 98% of the time. And that pissed me off enough to be like, whoa, come on, what is this? Because like I said, it's a point game. We're going to go with the elimination game. Serious game 6th inning, 5th inning. So it's late in the game. It's a close game. You need everybody on base as whatever way you can, and you can't be doing that. Because I think I had a strike in the in my next at bat, and he kind of like called the ball or something. Like it was probably a strike. It was close enough, or I think the ump felt bad. Obviously, made it up for me. I can't remember what happened in that game. We probably lost, probably won. I'm going to say we lost because it had to be a playoff game. And unfortunately, my career with the Mets was over that year. And, it was a good season, good coach. But, coach moves on. His son moved on moved on to another league. So it was just one of those things where I'm 13. And that was the end of my Mets career. So I only mentioned I was 13 with the Mets because theoretically that should have been my last year in the majors. But unfortunately, the Pony and Colt League at McGuane Park, the Colt League was starting to, I don't think the Colt League, the highest level, I think that's your maybe high school, senior, college year, or it was the oldest age, was I think completely gone. And the Pony League, which was probably, let's just say, I know you had to be 14 to be in the Pony League. So, the Pony League was just like, just say 14 to 16. And it was a very small team, or very, might not be there, might be there year. So I got the option when I was 13 going on to 14, because my birthday's was in the middle of the season, that I could either stay down or move up to the Pony League. But there was no guarantee with the Pony League. I think there might have only been like 2 teams. So you'd just be playing the same 2 teams or 1 team all the time. So I think we elected for me to stay down because I wanted to keep playing baseball at the competitive level. And, the Giants here he was a great coach. I'm be honest, I never learned that coach's name. Because I went to, after I moved on, I was maybe a sophomore in high school, and there was this kid that was on that team. He also went to my high school, and we were talking about the glory days of baseball once again, and I was like, hey, I don't think I ever remember that coach's name. And for some reason, he's like, I don't remember his name either. Because that was the year where all the parents were and stuff. There was always a group of parents with that coached and stuff. But for some reason, they got in a big fight. A little bit. I'm just gonna say corruption, just to be funny. But yeah, there's a little corruption. little draft stealing whatsoever. So their election was, you know what? We're cleaning all house. We're only letting Coach Pasiak. I forgot how Coach Pasiak was still the only coach, but they were like, all right, we're only letting Coach Pasiak be a major coach. Then all the other five, I think it was 5 teams. It was a 6 team conference, you could say, major level. He's the only one that's going to be the coach. All the other 5 teams, we're going out of house, finding volunteers or whatever. We're going outside. No other parents are allowed to coach. So we had this guy, white guy, goatee, never learned his name. I don't know his name. He was a great coach. He really helped me for my game because I was a year older than the other kids. I took kind of a leadership position somewhat. I knew the game. I was bigger, stronger. He saw that. And I was also going in the high school level, and he wanted me to continue playing at the high school level. So he was always trying to help me hone my skills whatsoever. I think he had me play almost every position besides pitcher and catcher. Catcher because I never wore a cup when I was playing, and pitcher I think I said I didn't want to be a pitcher, but I know there were some talks where people were saying because I'm 14 and there's maybe a handful of other 14-year-olds in the league, we weren't allowed to pitch unless your birthday was later in the year. So there was a little weird thing where like I never pitched. I never wanted to pitch anyways. I said that when I was with the Mets. So he was always having me play other positions. I played third base predominantly. He was always putting me in the outfield. I played first base for a good half of the season. Then he would have me switch on and off from second and third base. But yeah, I loved playing for that guy. It was a big ego year for me, kind of. I was bigger, faster, stronger than everybody else. So I was crushing the ball, played better than anybody else. At the major level, you were allowed to steal. I loved stealing when I was with the Mets and the Brewers. And just for some reason, when I was on the Giants, I got in a little bit of a mindset, hey, I'm going to steal every game. I'm going to steal at least one base every game, regardless if the coach tells me or not. I'm just going to take off and steal a couple bases. I stole a good chunk of bases. I would hit a single. I'd turn that thing into you were able to leave as soon as the ball left the pitcher's hand. So there were some times where as soon as I saw that guy wind up, I'm taking, or you could leave the base. You could start jumping off because there was no leadoffs. So as soon as that ball left the base, I'm putting my head down, hauling ass to second base, putting the cleats up, just in case somebody comes and tries to tag me, I'm putting cleats up. So I was always stealing bases because we played on kind of a smaller field, but it was a decent-sized field. So I always took that initiative. I'm stealing. He had us practice by the United Center, which was pretty cool. There was like a little gym or something somewhere. So we were always practicing over there on Madison Street, which was pretty cool before the season. And that was a pretty good team that we had. We had a good core players. That was a team somehow we lucked out where I technically got traded, I think they said. Because I know that team was the Yankees the previous year because there was this kid. Do I want to give him fake names? Yeah, I'll give him fake names. Billy and Ronald. We'll go with Billy and Ronald. Those are 2 fake names. They were also 13 or 14-year-olds that stayed down because they didn't want to move up. And me. So we were a team with 3 14-year-olds. But unfortunately, Ronald, his dad, threw a little fit because he didn't like what was going on at the park. So they ended up going to Donovan Park. Then I think they didn't like Donovan Park, so they ended up trying coming back. But they were like, no, you already had a spot. You left. We're not taking you. So I only mention that because I'll come back and play kind of later on. But we played the season without Ronald. Billy, he was a pretty good kid. He was a good player. He was I was probably A1. He was A2, vice versa. I hit 4th in the lineup. He was always 3, which I didn't like because he was always crushing the ball. So, our first and second guys in the lineup, they would get on base. He hit a home run, and I'm like, what the hell, man? I don't get to hit a home run afterwards. Because there's been a couple times where I was close to hitting home runs. I hit triples, and they wouldn't send me. I always hated that. It was too late in the season where I was like, I'm going to send myself. Maybe I was a little slower than I thought, but when you're out there running second, running third, you're gliding, not running. You're gliding through that dirt. So there's a couple times where he's held me up where I could have made it home. So I was always hitting a triple. I was a triple king for sure. I was hitting triples, and I'd be the only one on base. So I'd be like, what the heck? I don't get to play hero. This guy's getting all my RBIs, Billy. Then I had a good group of players. That we had my shortstop was this kid named John. He went to our grammar school, so I had a good friendship with him already. He was great. I'm trying to remember a couple other players. Was that kid on that team? I don't think he was. I think he was at the other level. Elliot. Dang, I kind of wish I said the real names now. You know what? Screw it. Ronald was actually Ross. Billy was actually Baltazar. I should just say that name because that's a badass sounding name. John was James. Elliot was Eli. Then we had this kid, Gabe. I remember he had just big puffy hair. He spoke Spanish. The only reason why it was important for him to speak Spanish was because midway through the season, I don't remember this kid's name, not either. But we had a kid come from Mexico. We'll just call him Carlos, because I think his name might have been actually Carlos. Carlos just comes and joins this team out of nowhere, and he was a great baseball player. Not the best hitter, but he was a great fielder. So it was pretty cool having an international team we had going there. So yeah, that was my Giants team. I love that Giants team. It was an ego year. I thought I was a lot better than I was. But sometimes you need that little bit of ego, being built up, thinking you're better than you should be. And it's just going to help you on later in life. Like I said, I got that confidence from the Mets coach after being beat down in the championship game with the Cubs and going to a losing season. Going to the Mets, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'm pretty good at baseball. I'm ready to go. Then when I got to the Giants, he's not feeding my ego, but he's at least, peppering me, making me feel good. It's helping me think I'm the best. I can be the best, because when you're going on those high school open houses and stuff and you start talking to the athletic coaches, a lot of them are going to say there's a lot of other kids coming in where you're not guaranteed a roster spot. So, there is going to be a tryout, obviously, at the freshman level. So you're in that situation where I'm getting in that mindset of, hey, I could play at the high school level, and I'm also thinking in the back of my mind, what if this is it? If this is my last year of playing baseball at the moment, I'm going all out, and that's exactly what I did. No matter what, I was always playing hard in practice, just going hard at practice, trying to do as much as I can afterwards and before, whatever. And with this good coach, he was, I don't know, he wanted me to continue playing at the baseball at that level of play, so it was very good. He was a great coach. I don't know what the deal was or something. He just helped me feel good, play good, and sometimes that's all you need in a coach sometimes too. And it wasn't even like a real ego thing. 1 second. Excuse me. Sorry about that sneeze. Spring is allergy season, but it's not that bad right now. I just got a little sneeze. And not even like a real ego thing. I'm thinking about it being an ego now. It's more of like a confidence thing. I got confidence in myself going into this game. We're playing this game, which is very great. Baseball to me was always my sport that I always wanted to be competitive in. Because I remember it was probably the year before when I was maybe 10 or 12. Yeah, I'll go with that. I used to play 3 sports, and from 4th grade to 6th grade I was playing baseball, flag football, and basketball. Not in that order. It was football, basketball, baseball. So I was a 3-sport athlete there for a while. No brag. At the 4th to 6th grade level. And I remember I was probably 5th or 6th grade. My dad He's like, "Do you know what the difference between a recreational sport and a competitive sport is?" I'm like, no. So he explains it to me. Competitive sport, you want to play, blah 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 blah. Recreational, you like playing it. You don't not fully don't care, whatever. And I only mention that because we were going to a basketball camp at UIC. It was the best. I don't know, basketball is super trendy or whatever. I don't know. I made that up on top of my head. And we were going to that, and he asked me about it when we were walking in. He's like, "Do you like basketball competitively or recreationally?" Because it was a youth camp, and those things are expensive. It was a free one. I don't know if he was getting nervous about it, me wanting to play the game more or whatever, because travel basketball is the way to go if you're going to be playing basketball. Same thing with baseball, but I always avoided travel baseball. I knew it was expensive and stuff, but even then, I think it was going to be too much playing in two leagues or whatever. Just split your time and stuff. But like I was saying, we go into this best basketball program camp, and he asked me, and I'm like, no, I like basketball recreationally. I like playing it with the school and my friends and stuff. And without mentioning baseball, he never mentioned baseball. I say I like playing baseball competitively, though, and so I always loved baseball in that aspect. And getting that confidence from the Mets and the Giants coach really made me want to continue my career. I obviously wanted to. I didn't want that end to be near. But, it was very good. My ego, I only mention the ego because it's funnier, and it also ties into one of the only two times where I've ever, was hard-headed or got angry with the coach in some aspect. The other one was at the college lacrosse level. It's a different sport. We'll save that story for later. We're late in the season. We're beating the Braves, and coach says, "Max, good inning. Rest of the game, you're done. We're going to give the other guys a chance to play. We're going to rest you up for the playoffs." And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, no thanks. So I go grab my mitt after I put my helmet in my bag, and I go out there and start taking warm-ups. And the other kid that I went to high school with, Anthony, he comes out, and he's like, I'm supposed to be playing third. And I'm like, I'm fine. You don't need to play third. And I kind of wave him off, and I send him back to the dugout. Him and the coach come out, and coach goes, "Max, come on." And I waved him off. I'm like, "Coach, I'm fine. I can keep playing. I don't need the rest." He's like, "No, man, come on. Give the other guys a chance to play." So I'm like, all right. And hand the kid the ball, and I walk out the field, and he goes, "I know you can still play, but like I said, I want to rest you for the playoffs. Let's give the other guys a chance to play." And I'm like, all right. It's not even a very big disagreement, but I'm like, I kept wanting to play. So I was like, I don't want to go into the dugout. This is probably one of the first times in my athletic career where I'm really playing the game all the way through. I'm not sitting on the dugout at all. It was very rare for me to sit on the dugout. I think the Giants here for sure. Mets here was probably back and forth, back and forth. So it's very rare for me to be sitting on the bench. I never like sitting on the bench because, if you're sitting on the bench, you're bad. So I go into the dugout, a little upset or something that I don't get to play. And he's like, he hands me the book, and he's like, "Here, keep track of the pitches." I've never done that before, and he tries to show it to me, give me a little crash course, and I messed up that book for sure. That inning and a half or 2 innings that I'm trying to do it, I think I only did for an inning. And I was like, this is terrible, and I stopped writing in it because I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I'm pretty sure that I messed up those stats, so whoever stats those were, I think, no, that kid played at that kid was on that team, yeah. I'm sorry, Manny, but your stats were terrible that inning on record, but I'm pretty sure you had a good inning. And the worst part about that was I got stranded on base right after I hit, so there's 7 guys that got to hit before me, because if I hit last and the other kid strikes out or whatever, that's 7 other guys, because there's only probably more guys in the lineup. I know at all levels besides the rookie level. I'm sorry, I'm backtracking. I know the rookie level, the first thing, everybody got to hit. Even if you got 3 strikes or 3 outs, like the first 3 batters, you still went through the whole lineup. I think just none of those bases counted if you had the 3 outs. But like I was saying, at the major level, you might have 15 kids on the team. not all 9 play at the same time. I mean, there's no 9 that just play. You have the whole lineup for all 15 kids. So if I'm hitting second, if I hit and I get stranded and the other kid strikes out on whatever, there's that whole lineup still to go. And we're only in like the 5th inning, so I'm not playing the rest of the game whatsoever. So I was a little upset about that, but it happens, you know. I got rested for the playoffs. Probably should have been rested a little more. Because like I said in last week's episode, that was when I got that first injury when we were trying to make that playoff run. I'm going to kind of go over that story. I know I said that in episode 7 maybe? Because we're in episode 8. So yeah, I want to say episode 7. I know some of you guys probably listen to it, not all of you. Ooh, I'm sorry, I got incomplete thought there. I got to do that little half episode, but whatever. So we're going. That was also the year we played at Hoyne Park too, as well. I got to mention that we only played them in the regular season, so which was pretty cool because there was our 6 teams and there was 5 teams at Hoyne Park. So it was like a little expedition games in the middle of the season, which was pretty unique. I know they came to us a lot. We went to their park maybe once or twice. They had a smaller park, so I was a little upset about that. Because they had like a nice little gap too in between the fences. It was like a good 5 feet gap. And I was like, man, I want to hit a shot right there and go for an outside the park home run. Because we never played with the fence. So it was just like, hey, if you killed the ball 400 yards, it's just going to be a home run. You had to go chase that ball though like an idiot. So it was just one of those things where that was like one of the more demoralizing things when you're like in the outfield. And that ball just goes sailing over your head, and you're just like, fuck, I got to go run to another field. And you're just, like, that ball's almost in the other dugout, pretty much, and you're just trying to get that ball in. And it's like, you know, it's a home run. But you're just hoping, you know, that kid gets stopped at third or something. And it's just demoralizing when you're it passes you. But I was also on the other end of that a couple times. I know one time it was with the rain. There was a big rainstorm. And I hit this beautiful ball opposite field because I'm a lefty, or I bat lefty on the left side of the base. I'm a righty. That makes sense. So I'm hitting this ball. It goes down the right field past the light pole, and a big lightning flash, too. It was so badass looking. But then they called the game or something. So it was a complete hit, but it was at least a hit or something. What was I talking about? I'm going off track. I got to go back to my playoff story where I get hurt. So we make it to the first round. Decent. We might have had a bye anyways, too. I know I think they gave the first 2 teams a bye, the highest seed, because there were 6 teams. And you just played... Yeah, I think we had a bye. The other team played a 3-game series. Then I think we played another 3-game series. We crushed the Braves, maybe? I think we played the Braves, yeah. Because it was the Giants, Braves, Dodgers on one side, I want to say. Then the other conference was White Sox, Red Sox, and Yankees. So yeah, we're playing the Dodgers in the second round of the playoffs. We crush them. We go on to the World Series, the championship game against the Red Sox, and it was just that kid Ross. He's not on the team, which would have been great to have. Then this kid Baltazar, he was also going to high school too. They have basketball tryouts. He wanted to play basketball. He says he's not there for the last game of the second playoff because I think he had the basketball tryouts. So we win that game, no problem. He's not there for the first game of the series. Or he is there for the first game of the series. We'll go to... He was just missing one game of the series. Let me get the story straight. We're going to go championship game. He was there. I think we lose. Second game, he's not there. Third game, elimination game. It was a best of 5 series. He comes in from his basketball tryout, and it turns out he broke his leg playing basketball. So I'm like, oh man, I got to go out there by myself as the leader, whatever. And like I was saying last week, I'm in the mindset of, hey, this is my last game. I got to do whatever it takes to win. I'm going to do it. So I'm going to go take up some, after we do our fielding drills, we're going out to the outfield, doing some outfield drills. I'm catching my pop flies. Last pop fly, I catch it, maybe 15, 20 feet throw. I throw it in. My arm just gets shot by the bicep. And yeah, I want to say like by the, if you're looking at your arm on the side, just all the way straight down. The thing hurt so bad. Pain I've never had before. I don't even know what happened. Never had a full diagnostic about it. I was just in maybe the worst pain of my life. And we're about the first pitch. And we're the home team? No. We're the away team, so we're at bat first. I managed to get one hit. I think I was 2 for 3 that day. We'll go with 2 for 3. I managed to get the first hit. Whatever. I'm on base. I'm thinking about my arm. I'm like, I'll be fine. Then my arm, I can barely throw. I think I threw about 2 people out from third to first once we finally get to fielding. And I'm like, Coach, I can't throw anymore. He's like, he sees I'm in pain, so he switches me to first. He plays whoever played third instead. I catch a couple balls. I'm fine with that. Like that. Then it's just starting to bother me. This kid, they called him the Russian Tank, was on the Red Sox. He was the pitcher. He was their closer. He was their Bobby Jinks. He comes out there, 6 pitches. Gets the first 2 strikes out. I go up, and I probably battle with them. I probably don't do anything crazy, but my arm's killing me. It's on my mind. I'm not focused. I strike out. I'm upset because it's a tied game going into the 7th inning. And lo and behold, I'm out there by myself. I could only do so much. I think I got switched back to third base, too, for some reason at the end. I think I asked to go back to third because I hate to say it, it's just that pit in your stomach. You feel the impending doom, and you're just like, I want to go back to third. I think I'll be fine, Coach, even though I wasn't. Because there we go. They hit a single. They got a guy on base. They hit a double or something. The guy's at third. We're just improvising now when it comes to this story. They get another base hit. There you go. You see them rounding the bases. It's a home run. We lose 7-4. Game over. Series over. They're lighting fireworks. They're running the bases, celebrating. We're in the outfield, all downtrodden and just sad. My pregame speech of, hey, it's an elimination game, guys. Leave it all on the field because there's no point in saving it. Unfortunately, it didn't work. We're going home losers. And unknown to me, that's how I end my baseball career. 2-time All-Star. Or we'll start about that game. 2 for 3 hits, 2 thrown outs, a couple throw catches to get guys out. Probably 2 stolen bases. We're going 3. We'll go 3 stolen bases. 2-time All-Star. 1 out of 3-time champion. Number 9 of the Giants retiring. Same year as Paul Konerko. Unbeknown by myself, or that's what happened. That ended my baseball career at the moment. At least playing on a team competitively. I'm sad. It's over. I ended up being a Silver Slugger that year. No MVP that year because I think he didn't want to play favorites or show. Me and Baltazar were both good players. He couldn't choose one without the other, so he's like, Silver Sluggers solves that problem. So that was pretty cool. I got a Silver Slugger award to my name. And that was the summer of 2014. So we have I'm going into high school that August. I did go to a baseball camp at high school. Camp went okay. It was a little weird because I played with just any old baseball bat. But at that level, you guys start playing it with the BB Core bat. The BB Core bat's a little heavier for me. A little unadjusted, bigger barrel. I'm not used to it. So I just play with my regular bat, which was okay. When we had the scrimmage at the last day, I was pretty good outfielder. I feel like I was running in. Sneaky athletic when it comes to just being who I am. And what do I want to say? So yeah, the camp goes okay. Probably not the best impression, but it was at least an impression on the coaches. Granted, I lied to my mom when it comes to the baseball tryouts. She was like, "Do they remember you?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, they do. They probably didn't know who the hell I was." So that's got to be in the middle of the summer or at least August. I want to say. I go into high school. My good friend, the doc, Bobby, he's played lacrosse. He told me, let's go to the weight room, let's work out. So I was trying to get in shape. I was in okay shape. I was, curling, doing whatever. When it came to the weight room, all whatever I knew or thought of, I was doing it. So I was trying to be in shape because I knew I had those baseball tryouts. The freshman level was a tryout team, and we're going to the night of the tryouts. We had to take a bus all the way to the Bow Dome out in Lamont or something. I remember it being cold. It was March or February because the season starts in March. It was February. I'm going in. I wore a Superman shirt. I don't think I wore a hat because I had my Giants hat, but I was like, I don't want to be that guy that wears a pro team hat instead of like a regular hat. Or not even a regular hat, a travel team hat, whatever. I'm wearing my baseball pants, whatever. First day went okay. It was a little weird because at that level, they're like, oh, you only try out for that one position. Unless you're, so if you're an outfield, if your best position's outfielder, you only go to the outfield. If your best position's third, whatever, you only go to third. The only exceptions were pitcher and catcher. And like I said, I was a utility guy. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go to third base. I went to third base, probably did okay. Hitting was all right, but once again, had to switch to the BB core bat. Shouldn't have listened to the other kids when they're like, go to the BB core bat. Should have stuck to my regular bat. Should have had the coaches tell me. I thought I did pretty good hitting-wise. I know I was hitting a good couple line drives and stuff. I remember being the last one in the batting cage for a while. I think they had me bat like 2-3 times. But it was one of those things that BB core screwed me up. Maybe if I just hit the regular bat, I'd be a baseball player instead of a lacrosse player or whatever. But, the woulda, coulda, shouldas. The universe had you be a baseball lacrosse player for some reason. Think about it. I don't know if it was the best idea, but that's what I did. Once again, jumping ahead in the story. Then, I come home for my tryout. I think it was okay. Did homework, whatever. I remember they said the first day, they were like, if you don't think you did good, we'll talk to you and we'll tell you right away if you didn't make the team or not. So I'm like, I'm not going to that. I'm going to the second day of the tryouts because that's going to show, hey, this kid's got talent, and B, he's going to show up no matter what. So I go to the second day of the tryouts, and realistically, it was like one of those things where they had the team already set. They were kind of looking at me, but not looking at me. I didn't even run the 60-yard drill because I remember them saying, like, oh, we're only having guys run the 60-yard if they're on the team. Or if we don't have them run it, we already know who's on the team and not. And lo and behold, didn't make the team. They read out the roster. There's 10 of us that didn't make the team. I go up to the coach. I'm like, hey, coach, when we're wrong. Because he's like, we'll tell you what happened. Whatever, after we read out the team. So I go up there. I ask, hey, coach, what happened? He's like, we really think you're a good player. We like you. But unfortunately, we're taking too many kids already, we think. And we don't think we're going to have a spot for you whatsoever. And it just broke my heart right there, right then. It's just like, you're good, but not good enough. We're sorry. So I had a good hatred there for the sport of baseball. For a little bit, I went on to go play lacrosse because, like I said, my good friend Bobby, he played lacrosse, so he was trying to get me into it. I should do a Glory Days on lacrosse stories, but we'll save that for later. We're already running long on this one. I'm not nearly done yet. Granted, I still got to do a vignette today. Probably do that tomorrow. I don't know how. I did all my stuff early in the day. I still feel like I'm running behind. So we're thinking at the tryouts. My dad picked me up. He asked me how it goes. I was just heartbroken. Didn't want to play. Hated the game of baseball. I was like, man, I want to play next year. So we were talking about it in the car that I should go back to the park and play. But I ended up playing lacrosse. I know I signed up for lacrosse a couple weeks ahead for some reason. Probably like a bad omen, but good omen of jinxing it. But I never ended up playing baseball again. Unfortunately, like I said, that 2015 season was a combination of being mad at the sport. My dad didn't have the tickets for the Sox game anymore from work. So that was like the first year where I never went to a baseball game or cared about baseball. I was just heartbroken and upset about the game. And I promise those sniffles are just because my sneezing or allergies or whatever. Not because I'm sad or thinking about it. But yeah, that's how my baseball career ended, unfortunately. I love the game. I'm happy for the new upcoming season. I'm trying to think if there's any other stories that I missed on or want to try and remember. None at the moment. Or none that I could think of. The only reason why I really wanted to do the Glory Days portion of this story was because, not just for the spring opening or home opener, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, home opener. Season opener. Because when I went to college, the older people in my life, my grandparents, they started getting Alzheimer's or were getting forgetful memory. And even though I was only 18 at the time, I started thinking, what if I start forgetting my stories and stuff? So I know I tried it was like probably the first couple days of college where, you don't have that many friends or you're still learning people. So you're sitting by yourself, or I like to be by myself. I was like, I'm going to write down my stories of baseball and stuff. So I started writing a lot of them down, long-winded stuff on Google Docs. I can't find the Google Doc, unfortunately. I got to keep looking for it on my laptop. So I'm very happy that I was able to still remember them, even though I'm only 18 to 22 at the moment. A 4-year difference. I still remember my stories and stuff. So it's very good that I get them audiotized and stuff. I will be looking for the written document of the Glory Days, the original baseball Glory Days. So I remember the first couple weeks of high school or college, I'd just be sitting there by myself typing whatever came into mind when it came to baseball. So yeah, it's very good that I got a chance to finally tell my stories and use them in the podcast form or have a audio recording or setting of them, which is pretty cool and unique. I will be doing this for other sports. Like I said, baseball, football, lacrosse. Probably have better lacrosse stories than basketball, than for sure over flag football. But like I said, baseball was a big part of my life. I'm sad that it ended the way it did. Went out the same year as Paul Konerko, though, so that's pretty cool in my eyes. Yeah, I'll never get the chance to play at U.S. Cellular Field at the moment. Or professionally, I should say. Which stinks, and my career ended the way it did. And, that I'm finally back on the baseball. But like I said, that 2015 year, no games, didn't care about the game, didn't play the game. I know I buried the mitts wherever, threw them in the garage when we moved over here to the new house out of Bridgeport. Just buried the mitts in the bag and just left them in the garage and didn't even touch them for the longest time. Then, time heals all wounds and you start going back on the baseball, thinking about it. And, pick up the mitt again, start throwing the ball around. Because there's another thing. I got a brand new mitt going into high school from my uncle. And that mitt barely saw any love because it was brand new. I didn't want to try it out at the tryout. I wanted to stick with my old stuff. So that I have a brand new mitt that I never got a chance to play with competitively, unfortunately, which stinks. But I throw the ball around with it every once in a while. I use that one, which stinks. But yeah, I loved baseball. I still do, even though there was a little bit of a heartbreak. Was never a huge stats guy when it came to baseball or the league overall. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm a little more into football than baseball. Maybe it's because of the heartbreak. Maybe it's not. It's just a little more interesting when it comes to football. But baseball, I love going to the games, hanging out with friends. Long season, but don't take every game serious. Yeah, I'm very happy about baseball. I'm very happy about telling my stories and this podcast episode, two-parter, even though it's a little all over the place. So I'm hoping the White Sox have a great season this year. I already got a couple tickets for a couple games, so I'm happy about that. To root for my White Sox and just going to that game, getting that smell of onion bouncing off that concrete rafter, tickling your nose. Got a couple plans when it comes to baseball too. I'm gonna try and do 3 games in 36 hours, or 2 days, or 3 stadiums in 36 hours, 3 games. I'm gonna try and go to Milwaukee that Sunday, then go to the Cubs and Sox game same day. So that'd be pretty cool. So I'm very happy about the baseball season. I'm not sure what else to say. I think I talked about all my points. Yeah. I think that's it. Those were my thoughts going into my bad mic in less than or over 59 minutes. So this concludes this episode of the Superfan Max Power Hour in less than... You know what? We're going to redo the intro. So, yep, those were my thoughts going into my bad mic in over 59 minutes. So this concludes the Superfan Max Power Hour in over 60 minutes, presented by the blog. Talk to you next week. Thank you for listening, because this is Superfan Max signing off. Let's go, 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 White Sox.